I want to introduce Beth McKay. I met Beth a few months ago, and she's just one of these, she's outspoken and fun, but she's also just quietly calm and quietly good, like a good person. She's also not afraid to speak her mind, and this is an interesting fact about Beth that you will really want to know because it may leave you some questions. She moved to Nova Scotia from Ontario in 2014 for 8 months and hasn't left, even after the winter of the Snowmageddon. I will ask Beth to join me on stage.
I was told that I need to stand in front of the white line. Hi. Oh my God, what are they gonna think? Did I wear the right dress? Holy shit. Oh, I swore. Oh, why did I say that? Oh my God, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. I can do this, I can do this. Oh, what was I thinking? Why did I write that in my talk? Holy cow, stop. Does anyone else here have these incessant voices running around in their mind like me? Right? Good afternoon, and welcome to a journey through my mind. I was born in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Yeah, woohoo! My birth mother was from Ontario, and 13 months after I was born, I was adopted back in Ontario. This followed me my entire childhood because I felt like I'd been rejected from my mom. And with my adopted family, I felt like I never belonged. And it didn't matter what I did or how I behaved. To me, it never felt like I was good enough. When I graduated from kindergarten, my teacher wrote on my report card, "Beth tends to be bossy." How many of us had that voice? Well, my parents interpreted that as there's something wrong with Beth. And thus began the years and years and years of trying to figure out what was wrong with Beth. And it was so ingrained in me that I actually believed that there was something wrong with me. This is where my perfectionist got born. If only I could do everything perfectly, then they'll love me. Then I'll belong. We all know what that perfectionist ends up doing. It never works because it's non-existent. Both of these events and these things really shaped my life. I had these constant internal things of like, I'm not good enough. I don't belong. I'm not lovable. I always like to think, just to compare what it was like in my head. Who here ever watched a Bruce Lee Japanese movie? Right? There's always a torture scene. Somebody's laid out on a bed, they're tied down, they can't move an inch, and there's the water drip torture. It's like drip, drip, drip. That's what it was like in my mind. Now, I could tell you about all the stories to the extent of how I used to try and run away from all these voices in my mind. But we're only here till, I think, 5 o'clock, and I've been told that I only have 10 minutes. So, I will share with you one of my favorite. Did anyone ever fantasize about growing up and running away with the circus? No, really? Maybe it's an Ontario thing? I did that. And I remember at that time, the voices that were in my mind that I was running away from was the emotion of anger and rebellion. I was just a little angry. I remember the first time in my life I actually ever felt like I had arrived. The company that I had been working for got sold, so it was only natural for me to open my own business. This was it. I was on top of the world. Everything's going to be okay now. I found where I belong. It was actually the first time in my life that I know that I really liked myself. I loved what I did for a living, and I was really good at it. now everything's going to be okay. And the voices in my mind were fairly quiet. So, the next thing on that to-do list, who has to-do lists, in my mind, that was going to give me everything that I'd ever wanted and longed for, was to lose weight. And I did. I joined Weight Watchers, and then I joined a gym. And about a year and a half later, I was a woman in size 6 clothes. Now, I'm going to find love. Right? Like, who wouldn't love this hot body, size 6 body? I had my own company. I had the body that I'd always envisioned that I wanted. Life couldn't be better. This was it. I'm going to have happiness, success, adventure, everything. You know the part in the movie where you know that impending left curve is going to come and the music changes? This is where we cue that music. I'd always said to myself, if I'd ever lost all my excess weight, that I wanted to reward myself with plastic surgery. Oh, thank you. It's okay. And because I'd worked really hard. When I was in my 20s, I had this fantasy, and I'm saying this because of you. And this fantasy was, I wanted to strut my stuff down the street in a pair of Levi 501 jeans and a white jockey tank top with no bra. I was looking for a flat stomach and perky breasts. I remember my surgeon after my surgery saying, those were the best abs that I never had to touch. That made me feel so proud. Now, when you sign up for elective surgery, there's always a risk. I actually had, you have to sign a waiver. And I think the odds, if I recall, for my surgery was about 1 in 5 million. What could possibly go wrong? Something did go wrong. And due to complications, I lost my breasts on Christmas Day. The silence is what it felt like in my mind. Life stopped. About a year and a half later, I ended up resigning from the company that I had founded. I had lost my entire purpose for what I thought my life was all about. Now, I've always valued myself as being a unique woman. I'll go to the extremes to, not be one of the crowd. I like to stand out. And it was like, way to go, Beth. And it was my way. What I had to learn in my own way was that I wasn't that company. Nor was I a woman in size 6 clothes. And life had to stop for me so that I could learn to go inside and find out what really mattered. Who here's seen the movie Pretty Women with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts? I love the scene in the bathtub when they're in the hotel. And Richard Gere says, he shakes his fist and he goes, I was angry. I paid my therapist $15,000 to learn to say that I was angry. Well, much like Richard Gere's character, I paid a lot of money too. But it's been one of the best investments that I've ever made in my life to date, so far. What I had to realize, because all of my life had been about, Beth, you're not good enough. You don't belong. You're not lovable. And these were the things that were going on over and over and over in my mind. And the key to learning how to stop or change those voices in our minds is to learn, well, actually it was to stop and feel the emotions that I'd spent my life running away from. And in order to feel those emotions, I actually had to stop and learn to listen to what the voices were actually saying. They say that the longest journey that we'll ever take is the one from our head to our heart. Now, my therapist and my coaches along the way would tell you that I went kicking and screaming the whole way. I remember the first moment that I ever experienced that self-love with no barriers inside. It was like the floodgates opened within, and it's just propelled me to be more dedicated, so dedicated, to the path to like growing my freedom, to loving and accepting all of me exactly as I am. I recently had a friend ask me, who would you be without your stories? Your voices, inside your head. And I thought about that for a little while. And I'm that little baby that was born in Fredericton, New Brunswick, that was free and innocent and so full of love. I've grown up a little bit, but she still exists within me. And my journey now is, it's funny, as I was writing this talk, I realized, I was joking about the coming home from Ontario. I made this connection, because I've never understand, why the hell was I born in Fredericton, New Brunswick? What the heck is up with that? But my journey back to Nova Scotia, or to Nova Scotia, has been about me coming home to myself. And I want to leave you with an inquiry. Who would you be without your stories? Without those voices in your mind? Thank you.